Overlook Horizon High Altitude Balloons, an Ontario County nonprofit.
This is no ordinary balloon.
What a view!
Over 110,000 feet.
This is incredible.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Hey guys, Tori here from Overlook Horizon, coming to you live on a snowy day here in upstate New York. But finally, we have a Falcon 9 launch today for SpaceX. Feels like it's been forever since I've been live. We've had a lot going on here, but there hasn't been a lot going on in the rocket launch world, or at least that I've been able to stream for the recent past here. I think our last one was, like the beginning of October or something like that. So it's been a while. I'm happy to be back, happy to see everybody, but I'm already having technical difficulties. It's already driving me crazy. Apparently, we're not live on Facebook. I don't know what happened to our Facebook Live. That just decided it didn't want to happen today. So I don't know what's happening, but hello to everybody that I have missed for the last couple of weeks here. I see a bunch of our regulars: Jason, Gregorio, Streaky, Killer Katie, Gordon, all over on the YouTube channel. So thanks for hanging out and joining us. We also get like a midday launch. That's something different. It feels like all the last like dozen or so launches have been in the middle of the night. But finally, we actually get a launch that's in the middle of the day. Hopefully. We do have some weather concerns, although the weather update that was just about 5 or 10 minutes ago said that the weather was green. There were no concerns that they were tracking. But prior to about 10 minutes ago, the issue was that the weather was only about 60% certain for today, so meaning a 40% chance of a scrub for today, and that did not include upper level winds, which were also going to be a concern today as well. But so far, they're not tracking any issues at the moment. So hopefully we're green. And they also gave the go-ahead for propellant loading, which happened just about also 5 or 10 minutes ago. And usually once they give the go-ahead for propellant loading, that means that they're somewhat committed. I mean, not 100% committed, but they're at least going to give it the old college try today to try to get this Falcon 9 off the pad and into orbit today here. So we got a whole bunch of things to talk about here, but let's get one thing out of the way. First of all, what is this ridiculous mustache on my face? It's driving me crazy, but it's for a good cause. So if you're feeling generous today, every November I grow a mustache for the Movember charity. A lot of people have heard of No Shave November or Movember. It's a charity here based in the United States, a 501c3 nonprofit charity dedicated to men's health issues for prostate cancer, testicular cancer, men's suicide rates, and I feel like I'm missing an issue in there somewhere, but they do a lot of great things for men's health. Particularly, they started with prostate cancer. And so every November, I grow this ridiculous looking mustache for Movember to help try to raise some money. So if you're feeling generous, I think there's a link in the description in the YouTube channel. Or you can go to overlookhorizon.com/Movember. That's Movember with an M, as in Mary. And throw in a little donation to help support the cause. But there is why I've got this ridiculous mustache. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about what's happening today. So finally, let's switch over to here. So finally, we've got our Block 5 Falcon 9 on the pad here today. So this is from SpaceX earlier today when the Falcon 9 went vertical. This launch today is happening from historic Pad 39A. That's the big historic pad that launched a lot of the Apollo missions, launched the shuttle missions, and has been since repurposed for SpaceX, where they also launched their Falcon Heavy rockets. They haven't done a ton of launches from 39A. Primarily, they've been doing some upgrades because 39A is what's going to support the commercial crew missions. And so you can kind of see, can I point to it? Let's see, right here. No, my finger gets cut off from the green screen. But right about here, sticking out the side, that's the crew access arm, which is actually on the other side of the fixed service structure. So this is the fixed service structure here. Crew access arm is on the back side of that from our perspective here, and we'll swing around to actually line up with the Crew Dragon once we actually get to the commercial crew time. So it's nice to see a launch from 39A because we haven't seen that many. Plus, it's a nice historic and huge launch pad. So let's see, what else did I want to say about this? Oh, this is also a reused booster. So this previously flew with Telstar 19V or 19 Vantage back in July. So this is going to be the second flight for this. So you can kind of tell in this picture, it's a little bit sooty, the bottom half there from its previous re-entry. But they will be performing another landing attempt today, assuming we get a launch. They will be performing another landing attempt today on the autonomous spaceport drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which is out in the Atlantic Ocean right now, waiting for this booster first stage here to land. Hopefully we get a nice successful landing here today. But let me jump over. I feel like I've been going on for a while. Let's see what everybody's chatting about here today before we get started. So if you haven't been a part of one of our live broadcasts here previously, I will have where is it? It's somewhere. But I will have the SpaceX broadcast. Let's see. I gotta click a whole bunch of times here. Get it up on the screen here. There it is, right there. So we'll have the SpaceX broadcast right there. I'll full screen it once we actually get to that point, but they won't go live here for probably another 5 or 10 minutes. And once they do go live, for the most part, we'll listen into what they have to say, do a little commenting, and then we got about 30 minutes today between launch and satellite deployment. So we'll stick around for a little while we're waiting for satellite deployment and make sure everything goes well here. So let's get, here's our mission patch for today. And I say "are" like I'm involved in it, but I'm not. Just a big fan. But the SpaceX mission patches, feels like maybe they have a new designer for mission patches. I feel like they're getting a lot sleeker recently, which I love this mission patch here. There's always the 4-leaf clover at the bottom of the mission patch there, representing the fourth attempt, the fourth Falcon 1 attempt that actually finally got them to orbit for the first time in their history. So the little 4-leaf clover you should find on all the mission patches. But yeah, these mission patches are starting to get a little sleeker, I think, and I don't know, look a little more modern than some of the previous ones. But I love this. But really what I wanted to get to was today's timeline here, just so you can get an idea of what's happening here today. So we're into propellant loading. That's the RP1, the rocket grade kerosene is happening now. This is a much faster loading process with the Block 5 Falcon 9 boosters than previously on the Block 4. So that's all underway. That's gonna take us to launch today, which is at 3:46 p.m. Eastern time. That's 20:46 UTC or 12:46 Pacific time. So we got about a little over 20 minutes, about 22 minutes before we get to launch here. And the live broadcast goes live about 15 minutes prior to launch. But after launch, we'll go through max Q. We'll get the first stage engine cutoff. That first stage is going to come back and land on Of Course I Still Love You. We'll get the second stage off and running, and then there'll be a cutoff. And finally, the satellite deployment is going to be 32 minutes after launch today. And as we've done previously on a whole bunch of the other launches, we are going to give away a mission patch, a test mission patch. We still got some of those. They're still lying around. So a test mission patch we're going to give away on the YouTube channels, and along with some stickers. We got some there we go, Overlook Horizon stickers. Got some Space Lobster stickers. So we're going to give away some goodie. Oh, and I got uh-oh. I almost lost it. We've got a beach ball to give away. Another Delta 4 Heavy, almost said Falcon Heavy, from the Parker Solar Probe. Got a beach ball to give away after launch during that period while we're waiting. But you got to be on the YouTube channel for that and be a commenter there. But we'll have time to talk about that afterwards here. So a couple of, it looks like the broadcast has gone live. It's just in the music phase right now. So we got some time here before they actually start talking. But a couple things to chat about before. And I know a bunch of people have some comments, but some of the things that I wanted to jump in and mention that maybe you haven't seen, maybe you have seen if you follow us on Twitter. But number one, it sounds like the Mr. Steven boat, which is the big fairing catching boat that's got the big net on it and the 4 arms that hold that net out to catch the payload fairing, which is on the West Coast. it sounds like that's coming to the East Coast. They're going to move Mr. Steven to the East Coast, potentially as early as next month for another fairing attempt. I don't know. We're going to have to see how that goes, but that's huge news right there if we get Mr. Steven on the East Coast, because there seem to be a lot more launches on the East Coast for SpaceX. So maybe we might have a Mr. Steven, or we might get the Mr. Steven out here on the East Coast. So. All right, so I said this about 5 times, but let me check out some of the comments. A bunch of people have been commenting, saying hello. Already got some hashtag Space Lobsters coming in from way back in the Falcon Heavy days back in February is where that originated from. Oh, hello. Whoa. You guys didn't see it, but the SpaceX broadcast went live for a half a second. I don't think they were ready to go live. They went live for a brief second, and then they switched it back to the intro card. Oops. Let's see. Jason says he loves the fuzz. I'm assuming he's talking about my mustache. Gordon says great mustache. Let's see. Hello from Sweden. Hello, Sweden. Yes, keep the stash, says Pony. I don't know if I can keep the stash. It's bugging the heck out of me. But I'm going to keep it till at least the end of November. Let's see. Hello from San Jose. Mark wants some stickers. Killer Katie wants a beach ball. Hello from Israel, some great patches there. So yeah, awesome. And then some of the Periscope comments. We got a let's get going. Somebody's anxious to get started. A couple people commenting on the actual launch time. Yeah, 3:46, which is exactly 10 minutes from now is when launch is scheduled here. And so what are we launching today? That's another good thing we ought to talk about here before we get started. This is a communications satellite for Qatar. It's not going to be servicing the United States. I believe it's servicing like the Africa area. What was it? The Middle East and North Africa is what this satellite is servicing. It's going to geostationary transfer orbit today, eventually with the final destination being geostationary orbit. So what's the difference? We've talked about this a couple times in the past, but geostationary orbit is that red dotted line. So the big blue circle, that's our beautiful planet Earth there in the center. The dotted line is geostationary orbit, and the green line is geostationary transfer orbit. So the Falcon 9 will actually put it into transfer orbit, which is this elliptical orbit here. And then the spacecraft itself, the actual SHALE-2 mission, is that how we say this? I'm probably absolutely butchering that name, but SHALE-2 that's the mission today. That's the satellite, the communication satellite that's being launched. That will actually perform the final maneuvers or the final burns to circularize its orbit and get itself into geostationary orbit, which is that perfect circle way on the outside there, and essentially keeps it in one spot over the Earth, which is why it's called geostationary, because the satellite appears to be stationary. It's basically in sync with the rotation of the Earth. So as the Earth rotates, the satellite continues to revolve around with it and pretty much stays right over the exact same spot all the time. So that's pretty common, especially for communication satellites, because you want a communication satellite to service a particular area. So it stays in geostationary orbit directly over that area that it's servicing. Otherwise, if it was in like low Earth orbit, you would lose communication with the satellite when it went around to the other side of the planet, and that doesn't do you much good if you've got a communication satellite. So let's see. Hello from Paraguay. We should do a spirit ball and just mail it to random people and sign it. That would be funny. And hello from the Philippines. So yeah, we got a bunch of people joining us here today. Probably helps a little bit that it's a middle of the day launch instead of one of these like 3 o'clock in the morning. And hopefully today's broadcast is continuous throughout the entire thing. So we got a big threat of a snowstorm coming here in western New York, where I'm located. It has not started yet. I'm looking out the window here right now, but it has not started yet. But we're supposed to get 12 inches of snow over the next couple hours. It's supposed to start pretty much like right now. So, and they're predicting like power outages and big heavy snow coming through. And so I might get a snow day from work tomorrow if we get that much snow, because I won't be able to get out of my driveway. But we'll see. We're going to have to see if that actually holds up. But hopefully it doesn't cut the broadcast out and I lose power in the middle of that, because that would not be great. So So anyway, somebody on Periscope said North Africa and Middle East. Yep, so that's the area that this satellite is servicing, is North Africa and the Middle East area. And so a couple things that we didn't actually mention here too. We've showed these before, but I feel like it's been long enough that we ought to show them again. So here's a map of the launch complexes at Cape Kennedy or Cape Canaveral, Florida. The two launch complexes at the top, 39B is the first one, and then 39A. Those are the big historic Apollo launch pads, Saturn V launch pads, the Space Shuttle launch pads. Those all went from 39B and 39A, and that's 39A is what we're using today. Those are all on Kennedy Space Center property. And then you go a little further south, Launch Complex 41, 40, 37, and on and on and on. That's all the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. So that's part of the Air Force that's down on there. And somebody had mentioned earlier today, they said, well, why do you think that SpaceX chooses 39A over pad 40, which is where they, a lot of times where they launch their Falcon 9 from is Launch Complex 40. And somebody wondered maybe it has to do with clearance, possibly, for trying to get maybe foreign nationals easy access to view the launch. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it was an interesting thought. I went, I don't know if that's a thing, but if anybody knows, particularly, I just always thought it was based on availability, and they went, we like this one in particular that we want to use it for. So I have no idea why they particularly picked this one. I know why they would put Falcon Heavy at 39A, but all right, broadcast is starting here. Let's get on over.
SpaceX headquarters here in Hawthorne, California. It is Thursday, November 15th, just after 12:30 p.m. here on the West Coast, and just after 3:30 p.m. local time in Florida. And welcome to today's launch of the S-HALE-2 satellite for our customer, S-HALESat. You are looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 at Launch Complex 39A as it awaits its 3:46 p.m. Eastern Time launch from Kennedy Space Center. My name is Brian, and I'm a software engineer here at SpaceX. And today's mission will be SpaceX's 18th launch this year and the 12th flight-proven booster to fly in 2018 alone. After stage separation, we do plan to land the first stage back on our drone ship named Of Course I Still Love You, which is currently stationed just off the coast in the Atlantic Ocean. If successful, this will be SpaceX's 31st booster recovery. Today's launch window opens at 3:46 p.m. Eastern Time, and it closes at 5:29 p.m. Eastern Time. But we are aiming for the top of the window with the clock at T-minus 13 minutes or so and counting.
Thank you, Brian. My name is Shiva. I'm an integration and test engineer here at SpaceX, and I want to discuss our launch vehicle, the Falcon 9. It's a two-stage orbital-class liquid bipropellant rocket. Now, fully assembled, the Falcon 9 is over 70 meters tall. That's longer than the wingspan of a Boeing 747 aircraft. The first of the two stages makes up the bottom two-thirds of the vehicle. You can see it behind the the Florida atmosphere. Now, at the base of the vehicle are 9 Merlin engines, which accelerate the vehicle through the thickest parts of the atmosphere to space where the stages will separate. The first stage is designed to be reflown 10 or more times with minimal refurbishment between flights. And in fact, this is a flight-proven first stage, which previously launched the Telstar 19 Vantage spacecraft last July. It'll be attempting its second recovery today. Now, as I alluded to earlier, about 2.5 minutes into the launch, the second stage of the vehicle will separate using a pressure-driven mechanical system. The second stage will then ignite its single high-efficiency Merlin vacuum engine, or MVAC, to carry S-HALE-2 to a Geostationary Transfer Orbit, or GTO. At the very top of the vehicle, to protect us from the forces of friction and drag from the Earth's atmosphere and the heating that comes from the vehicle, the S-HALE-2 satellite is safely encapsulated in our 5-meter diameter payload fairing. It's that nose cone structure at the very tip of the rocket. Once we're out of the Earth's atmosphere, the fairing halves will jettison back to the planet, but we won't attempt to recover them today as our fairing recovery vessel, Mr. Steven, is on the West Coast. Finally, this large white truss structure that you see on the side of the vehicle is called our transporter erector, or TE. As the name suggests, it rolls the Falcon 9 to the launch pad and raises it to the vertical position. It also provides critical electrical power, launch fluids, and ground communication to the satellite and Falcon 9 until the vehicle switches to its internal power. The TE will retract slightly at liftoff, clearing the way for Falcon 9's ascent.
So Falcon 9 rolled out to the pad in a horizontal configuration on that T that Shiva just mentioned, and it was mated to the SHale-2 payload at that point. That happened about 15 hours ago, the rollout procedure. About 6 hours after rollout, we went vertical into the configuration that you see on your screen now. Now, in this final configuration for flight, the launch director then gives a go or no-go pull to begin the prop loading procedure, a very important milestone before we launch. That go or no-go pull was at T-minus 1 hour, and then we actually began loading propellants around 25 minutes ago at T-minus 35 minutes. Now, for our fuel, remember that Falcon 9 uses kerosene, or RP1, rocket propellant 1. For oxygen, for our oxidizer, we use liquid oxygen in the liquid phase. But in order to complete the fire triangle, we do need an igniter fluid, and for that, Falcon 9 uses something called TTEB. Now, you'll see that at T-minus 0 via that telltale green spark right before the rocket takes off. That's that TTEB, that igniter fluid. Now, regarding the status of the propellant load itself, fuel is nearly fully loaded on stage 1 and is full on stage 2. Liquid oxygen is about 80% or so on stage 1 and about 60% or so on stage 2. But once all the tanks are full, both stages will continue to be topped off with propellant until about T-minus 2 minutes. And we do that to keep the temperatures as cold as possible. The lower the temperature we can bring it to means it's a denser fluid, which allows us to fit more propellant into the same size tanks of that rocket. Now, while those two were propellants, we also have pressurant on board. We need something that will push the propellant through the rocket engines before they light. That is very similar to a fuel injector on a car. Now, we use pressure instead of injection to push that fuel and LOX in, and the pressurant that we use for that is helium gas. Now, helium began loading into the onboard tanks before the webcast went live, but just like the fuel and just like the oxidizer, this loading and top-off process will continue with the helium until about 1.5 minutes before launch. The last milestone that's prop-related that we like to hit before liftoff is the engine chill procedure. And that's pretty simple. It's basically just where we open up the valves between the tanks and the engines, and this allows us to flow a little bit of cold liquid oxygen to the turbo pumps so that they begin to drop in the temperature before that full flow of the super chill propellant begins at liftoff.
All right, and today we are launching SHale-2 for our customer SHale-SAT. Now, with the success of SHale-1, which entered service in December of 2013, demand for satellite services in the Middle East and the North Africa region has continued to grow. SHale-2 answers the demand for global connectivity by further boosting broadband delivery and broadcasting in Qatar and the entire region. Now, for those on the ground, that translates to secure communications for the business and government sectors, as well as reliable, high-quality, direct-to-home television content and more. And in order to advance space technology development in Qatar, SHale-SAT has initiated development of new technology for the Qatar Amateur Radio Society. As part of that initiative, SHale-2 will enable the Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation's first ever geostationary communication capability. That's going to connect users across the globe in real time, and it's expected to usher in a new exciting era for radio amateurs in the 21st century. Let's take a look at a video from SHale-SAT about their satellite.
All right, so this has music to it, so I can't actually play this during the broadcast. So we'll chat about this a little bit here. We'll keep the video playing, but I just have to shut the audio down. YouTube gets very picky if I have some music playing in here that we don't technically have rights to. So if you want to watch this particular package that they have about the satellites, you can definitely check out the actual native SpaceX broadcast on their YouTube channel, hopefully after the fact. Hopefully you stay with us here, because we're going to give out prizes. SpaceX doesn't do that, right? But yeah, so we're looking at, somebody asked, why is the camera tilted? I'm not sure which camera you're referring to. I'm assuming you're talking about the camera that's actually looking at the rocket, and that's a ground-based camera looking up at the rocket that they were particularly showing there. But a couple of things to look at when we're watching when they come back and they show us the pad. You'll see a lot of condensation or smoke that's coming off the rocket. That's perfectly normal because of those super chilled liquid oxygen and RP1 fuel. It's just a little bit of basically condensation that's forming on the outside of the rocket itself. There's also some venting happening, so usually those are specific streams that you'll see coming off the rocket are the venting of particularly the liquid oxygen that they are venting off. So that's all perfectly normal. Definitely keep an eye out for the green flash right at the engine bells, right at T-0 or T-1 is when that flash, that's the T-tab that actually ignites the rocket engines. And also on the launch pad for 39A, so take a look for the crew access arm, which has been newly installed at 39A. That's where the commercial crew will actually walk out and get on board. The rain birds, where the water comes out, now have black. Let me get this back up here.
We're very excited to fly that exact payload from the video just 4 minutes from liftoff here. Now, Falcon 9 is moving into the final stages of the countdown as we speak. Today's launch window is 113 minutes long, about 2 hours, and if for some reason we can't launch today, a backup is available tomorrow, Friday, November 16th at 3:48 p.m. Eastern Time, about 24 hours from right now. Looping back to the earlier status updates, the first and second stages are basically fully loaded with fuel and with oxygen, totaling over 1 million pounds of fluid at this point. They are in their top-off procedures. Remember, that will continue until around T-2 minutes, and that's just to keep everything as cold as possible. Regarding the internal systems, avionics, communications, guidance and control, those are healthy, and we are currently tracking no issues with the Falcon 9 rockets. The second thing we like to check on is the payload. SHL-2 itself has transitioned from external to internal power on board its own batteries, and they are currently tracking no issues as well. The third and fourth, the weather and the range, we always like to check on these because they are crucial to the successful launch. Weather balloons are released about every 10 minutes, and we saw some thick clouds and some cumulus clouds, but those have cleared and weather is go for launch. And that fourth item, the range, an ever-important purpose. They have cleared the surrounding ground, water, and airspace, and they are go for launch as well. Now at this T-minus 60-second mark, as we come in a few minutes, it's a pretty interesting thing that happens. Listen in for the announcement that the Falcon 9 is in startup. Now that implies the vehicle state machine has transitioned to the place where all of the onboard flight computers have fully taken over the vehicle. There are no more humans in the loop at that point. So the onboard autonomy, the software that I enjoy working on, is in complete control of the vehicle. So that's a neat transition from the humans in the loop to the machines in the loop for the 60 seconds before launch. So as we near that T-0 mark, let's listen into the terminal countdown nets.
Yeah, so the transport erector is just starting to tilt back here now. So if you look up at the top, the arm that kind of supports it started to open up here. And that'll start to tilt back just a little bit, and then it'll go all the way back at launch. So also, I started talking about the pad, but the rainbirds, which are the tall structures with a little arm at the top, they're at the very bottom, at the bottom of the rocket. That's where the water suppression system comes out.
Open for a strawback retract.
They used to be gray, but now they have that black thermal protection coating around them, which I assume is the same thermal protection coating that they have on the rocket itself. But now they're a dark black color on those little rainbirds that are at the bottom. They shoot a whole bunch of water. I don't know what the actual stats are on that, but a whole bunch of water comes out for sound suppression. But those now have black thermal protection coating. And it's hard to see in this angle, but on the back side of the fixed service structure, they're starting to install cladding so that the fixed service structure looks a lot more like the crew access arm. So it'll be exciting to see what that looks like in the end. They're just getting started with installing the cladding on the back side of the fixed service structure there. So if they show a different angle, you might get to see it. Saw it in a couple pictures earlier today.
Strongback is a retract angle of 88.3 degrees.
Turn this up here a little bit. You guys will have to let me know how the volume is. You know, it's a software engineer talking when you hear state machine. I wonder if the SpaceX teams includes any Easter eggs in their code like the Tesla teams do. I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out. I feel like all software engineers do that, but this is a lot more important stuff than the software that I write. So I don't know if they'd be allowed to do that, but who knows? I'm sure they might try to squeak something in somewhere.
Stitch shoe lock still complete. So Falcon 9 is on internal power.
They seem very quiet and muted today. About a minute and a half here. We'll see one big vent here, which it seems like it's starting there.
Ground gas closeout starting.
the last big vent of liquid oxygen. You can kind of hear it a little bit. I wonder, this is also a different pad than we've had in a lot of the recent flights, so the pad mics might not be as good as they've been on pad 40. We'll have to see. I'll try to crank the volume here as we get closer. Yeah, that's what Gregorius just said. I think they removed the launch pad mics. I think the launch pad mics are on pad 40. They must be fixed.
Ground gas closeout's complete.
Falcon 9's in startup.
Here we go, under a minute.
Stage 2 press for flight. Go for launch.
30 seconds here. Sounds like the weather's not going to be a problem.
Stage 1 coming up to startup pressures.
It's 15 seconds.
Falcon 9's configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Go.
Power and telemetry nominal.
We've had successful liftoff of the Falcon 9 vehicle as it carries S-HALE-2 communication satellite to Geostationary Transfer Orbit. Now we've cleared the towers and we are ascending. The next major milestone as we come up is max Q, that maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will experience as it goes through the thicker parts of the atmosphere. As we get higher, the density of the atmosphere decreases and there's less and less load on the vehicle. You should hear the call out for that soon.
Vehicle has passed through maximum aerodynamic pressure.
There's max Q there. It's through max Q.
And we've had max Q, so again, decreasing pressure on the vehicle as we continue to ascend through the thinner parts of the upper atmosphere. Now we're coming up on a sequence here where a few events will happen in very short succession. Those events are MELCO, stage separation, and then SES-1. Those stand for MELCO, main engine cutoff, stage separation, and then SES, which is second engine start number 1, the first of the 2 planned burns today. And those are, MELCO is when we shut off the 9 Merlin engines of the first stage, and then once we've shut those down, we separate the 2 stages, and then once the stages are separated, the second stage engine, the Merlin vacuum engine, is exposed to space and it will begin burning. That will happen over the span of about 10 seconds, starting about 20 seconds or so from now. Again, main engine cutoff, stage separation, second engine start.
Yep, so that's about 5 seconds to cut off here. This is a view from inside the interstage there. Right-hand side, that's the second stage looking down. Left-hand side is the first stage looking
stage
up.
Separation.
Stage separation confirmed.
Oh. There's a bit of lag on the one side there. And watch the stiffener ring.
Back ignition.
Stiffener ring.
And we have had second engine start as the orange glow appears to brighten up the Merlin vacuum engine in the center of your screen. Again, transitioning the responsibilities from the first stage to the second stage. We'll follow both of those vehicles in parallel as we continue this webcast, but for now, the next major milestone is on the second stage, and that is when we deploy the fairings that encapsulate the payload. So S-HALE-2 is protected from the aerodynamics of ascent by that fairing. Once we're out in space, the air is not thick, we do not need it anymore, so we drop it to reduce our total mass. That fairing deployment will occur about 10 seconds from now.
Looks like we're having a lot of issues with that first stage video feed staying constant. Keeps cutting out. Hopefully that covers here. There's inside the payload fairing right there. That's the satellites.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Can you see the fairing? Oh, there it goes. You can see it. They cut away.
And with the fairing deployment that you saw on your screen, we now have SHale-2 exposed to that beautiful vacuum of space. Now, second stage is going to go quiet here for a few minutes. Remember, you can see the orange on your screen. MVAC is still burning, and this is the first of the 2 planned burns for second stage. This burn will be multi-minute, and we'll return to it in a bit. We'll shift our focuses back to the left of your screen now, where the secondary mission, the landing of that first stage, is targeting the drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, just like second stage, that first stage is going to conduct 2 burns in its lifetime, and those 2 burns, we've already seen the first one, or I'm sorry, we are about to see the first one in reentry, and then we will see the landing burn. Now, that reentry burn is self-described. It's right before we re-enter the atmosphere. We want to slow down our velocity as much as possible. We're traveling very, very quickly. You can see on your screen, we're going 2,300 meters per second or so. It's an extremely fast velocity. We want to reduce that before we actually re-enter the thickness of the atmosphere again. So that's what the re-entry burn is doing, and that will occur about 1.5 minutes or so from now.
Stage 2 is following a nominal trajectory.
Yeah, so sometimes you'll see that first stage booster there do 3 burns. That's usually when it comes back and lands on land. It's just going to do 2 burns today, so it's going to follow a ballistic trajectory, so it goes up and it's just going to kind of keep going. It'll do an entry burn, and then it'll keep following that path and do a landing burn. So it only needs 2 burns when it's landing on the drone ship. If it's going to turn around and come back and land on land, it'll do 3 burns.
Just tuning in, we've had successful ascents of the 2 stages. They have separated. Second stage is continuing on with SHale-2. First stage is coming back. We're about 1 minute away from that re-entry burn to slow us down. That re-entry burn itself will last for about 20 seconds, reducing our velocity before we get into the density of the upper atmosphere.
So as I was saying, if it's coming back to land on land, it'll do 3 burns. It'll still do the entry burn and the landing burn, but it also has to do a boost back burn to actually, that's what actually turns it around and sends it back to the launch site.
It's interesting to note, as you can see on the left side, we are actually engines facing the incoming air. So we're going engine first, and that's why the burn does slow us down. As the vehicle burns its engines, that will push us back up.
What was that?
And because we're going engine first, that will slow us down and decelerate the vehicle.
It's like a UFO that just flew by.
Cold gas thrusters that are there to make minor attitude or position corrections on the vehicle.
Stage 1 entry startup.
I don't know what that was. Looked like all of a sudden a UFO flew by.
And that footage is being sent down from onboard cameras in space. So you can see through the choppiness there that the entry burn has started. Remember, 20-second burn in total for the re-entry.
Camera's having
entry burn shutdown.
Camera's having a tough time maintaining today.
And the entry burn has concluded. As you can see the exhaust there on the left side. Now we're going to go into the second of the 2 planned burns, the landing burn soon. But it's worth noting that we'll have a very short sequence here as well. While the landing burn is occurring, second stage is going to conclude its first of 2 burns. So you'll see the landing burn start on the left side of your screen, and then you'll see the second stage stop firing on the right side of your screen. And then about 20 seconds after, you'll see the left stage hopefully come down with 0 velocity on the surface of the drone ship. Landing burn start, SECO number 1, landing burn conclusion.
And we're less than 1 minute to that, so it should be about 8 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock. So we're about less than 1 minute here now.
We're about 30 seconds out again. Landing burn, SECO 1, and then landing conclusion. That feed is intermittent. If it does come back, it will show up and pip on screen.
Hopefully we can see the landing. A lot of times the landing cuts out, but that's usually the drone ship camera that cuts out from the shakiness of the landing. But usually we have a better view of the first stage booster actually coming in, so you can see the grid fins kind of steering it down to its landing. But apparently they're having issues.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Landing burn startup.
So landing burn.
And there was SECO. You caught it at the very end there. Don't know exactly what's happening with the landing, but we'll report back for that as soon as we have information. But you saw that blip there at the end where SECO 1, second engine cutoff number 1, did occur, where the second stage stopped firing. We're going to check some data and tune in on first stage here in a second.
Nominal orbital insertion.
All right, landing shut down.
Hey, there it is. All right. Yeah.
Falcon on the drone ship.
And there it is. The first stage has landed on the drone ship. Of course, I Still Love You in the Atlantic Ocean for another recovery and a potential third refurbished flight of this same booster. So with good success of that secondary mission, we'll transition back to the primary mission here, which is the delivery of SHALE-2 to Geostationary Transfer Orbit. And what we're going to do here is what we call a coast phase. It's going to last for about 15 minutes. Second stage has burned its first of 2, and now it's going to coast for a bit before it's aligned properly to execute its second burn. We're going to coast for about 15 minutes now. We'll turn to you with the deployment of the SHALE-2 satellite when we return.
All right. So there we go. We're going to mute the music that they have there, and we'll chat a little bit here. But unfortunately, oh, there it is. There's the first stage sitting on the drone ship. Of course, I Still Love You with still unstable video. Not sure why the video is so unstable today. It was really unstable coming down, which was kind of disappointing. But yeah, they got it. It's landed. You can see it there. That's the second successful landing for that booster. So it landed previously in July. And I got to mute this music here in my ear, but landed successfully in July. Now we got another landing here in November. So this booster will potentially be ready for a third flight, which we've seen, and it's hopefully going to be continuing on to a fourth or a fifth or even more. That'd be fantastic. So anyway, successful landing there, which is great. Now we're, as he mentioned, we're in that coast phase for the second stage. That's going to go for another 15 minutes or so. Let's see, when's the restart? Is it 26 minutes? So yeah, we got about 16 minutes until the second stage restarts. It will do another brief burn, about a 1-minute burn, and then we'll have a couple of minutes, and then it will be satellite deployment. So we got a couple minutes here. Well, one thing we're going to have to look at. Anybody see the UFO that went by? What was that? It was about 6 minutes in, so I'm going to rewind this here. We got to take a look at that because I don't know what that was. Let's see. Can we get back to the 6-minute mark here? Did I miss it already? It was about, yeah, somewhere in here. So the UFO that I'm talking about is on the left-hand screen here, and it comes from like the top right-hand corner of the left-hand screen. So the view with the booster there. As it comes back, oh, did we miss it already? I think we missed it already. Oh no, I just happened to catch it. There it is, right there. What is that? Anybody have any idea what that is? It's got to be like a perception issue. It'd be like ice debris or something, but it just looks like it comes from so far away. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Yeah, so I think it's just a piece of debris. Can you see my mouse? Yeah, my mouse is there. So here it is, right here where my mouse is pointing. There's a little tiny piece of debris that broke off, but it's like a bit of an optical illusion there because it looks like it's really far away, but I think it's just really small. And the difference in velocity between the actual booster and the piece of debris are relatively, it's a small difference between the two. And then the booster or the piece of debris just must be affected that much more. But here it goes. Watch it come off here. Breaks off, and then it's still coming right up here. It's going to come a little closer, and then it just looks like a UFO that flies by. I look at that, I was like, what is that? But now that I watched it again, you can see it's just like a little. It's probably the tiniest piece of debris that broke off, but it just caught my attention during the stream. Breaks off right about here. Oh, right there. There it goes. And then just flies by. That was crazy. I thought maybe we're getting invaded by aliens during this stream here. So, Space TV said, can it just be a satellite? No, there's no way that's a satellite. First of all, it's not nearly high enough for that to be a satellite. And second of all, they do not launch the Falcon 9 rocket that close to existing satellites. So one of the big things that you'll see, you know, people that claim that space is fake or that SpaceX is fake and NASA are fake, they'll say that there's no satellites. You can't see any of the satellites. Well, you're not supposed to see the satellites. If you can see the satellites, then you're too close. So that's why you never see any other satellites in here, is because they generally don't launch rockets close to satellites. And if you see one, and something's wrong, you're too close. Maybe someday when we have so much space junk that we can't deal with it, then we'll start to see stuff a lot more frequently. But I think that's just a tiny little piece of debris that broke off the first stage booster there. It might have even been like a paint speck or a speck from the thermal protection coating that just broke off, and it would follow the same ballistic trajectory and either burn up or land in the ocean. So it's not really dangerous. It's not going to stay in orbit, but it was just it was very interesting to see that. That was not expected at the time. I was like, what is that? So let's see. Deborah says it's aliens. Kevin says it's, yeah, debris. Maybe it's a weather balloon, right? Isn't that what they always claim that the alien ships are? It's just a weather balloon. There's a little bit of swamp gas, cause a little distortion in the perception in your eye, and you can't tell. It's just a weather balloon. Nothing to see here, right? Let's see. Unidentified flying object. We're now through the looking glass here, people. Let's see. I hope they have the booster landing on the replay. It would be nice if they showed that a little clearer. Let's see. That was definitely something not SpaceX that went by. Yeah, it's aliens. I think it's just a perception thing, guys. I think it was it's probably the tiniest little speck of like thermal protection coating that broke off, and it's just because like they break off and they're both still traveling together. So that, you know, the piece is part of the booster, goes with it. It breaks off. They're still traveling at the same speed, but eventually that little bit of air resistance is going to affect that tiny speck of debris a lot more than the booster. So the booster continues, and the speck kind of gets affected a little more, and their velocity starts to change. So I would be willing to bet that that's what happened there. I don't think it's aliens, although it looked like it at the time. Let's see. Can you restart the show? Well, we're probably not going to restart it, but we're waiting. We're at the coast phase here now. We got to give away some stuff here, so everybody's waiting here. Everybody wants some free stuff, right? We got to give away some stuff here. So, if you were watching on Periscope, a bunch of people watching here on Periscope. And I do want to clarify, Johnny on Periscope mentioned that it's going to turn into space junk. That piece of debris will not, we mentioned it already, but that piece of debris will not become space junk because it was on the same trajectory that the booster was on, which was a landing trajectory. There's nothing that's going to keep that piece of debris in orbit. It's going to continue the same trajectory as the booster did, although it won't have the landing burn to actually slow it down. It's just it'll continue into the ocean, or potentially burn up in the atmosphere, although it may. I don't think it has enough, probably doesn't have enough velocity to actually burn up. It would or enough mass, really. It'd probably just slow down from the air resistance and then just gently land in the ocean. So it will be ocean junk, unfortunately, if it makes it there. All right, let's see. What else did somebody 98 JM says everything went off on time. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, it was a pretty great launch here today. So nothing really out of the I mean, it's tough to say that, like, out of the ordinary. There's nothing out of the I mean, it's still pretty out of the ordinary to land a orbital class booster on an autonomous drone ship in the ocean, which is still incredible. But by SpaceX standards, that was pretty straightforward. That's a successful launch for you. So that was great. So now we got to give away some free stuff, and I forgot to bring up my friend the Nightbot here, which everybody has probably been excited that Nightbot has been quiet during the YouTube stream. He probably lost authorization to be a moderator on the YouTube channel, but I'm going to have to get him back access to the YouTube channel here so that Nightbot can do a giveaway here for us. Let's see, is Nightbot alive? We'll see. We'll go to giveaways. Let's see. So hopefully this will work here. But the essentially what Nightbot is going to do is Nightbot's going to keep track of who comments on the YouTube channel, and all you got to do to be eligible is throw in a comment and you'll be eligible for the giveaway. But right now Nightbot is not tracking the comments, so I don't know what the problem is. Let's see. It says it's part of my channel, but it does not appear to be tracking comments. Okay, we're going to try to do some troubleshooting here real quick. Well, it's a good thing we're in a coast phase here. We still got another 10 minutes as part of the coast phase. So let me see if I can troubleshoot Nightbot here so we can give away... oh, yeah, Gregorius. Uh-oh, brace for the Nightbot impact. Yeah, I really do want to tone down the Nightbot and get Nightbot to be not so finicky, because Nightbot can get a little touchy sometimes on the moderation side. But Nightbot is great for choosing a giveaway if it works, but it doesn't appear to be working. See this? Oh, wait. Oh, there. I think Nightbot's working now. Maybe. What happened? It was working. I saw a whole bunch of comments, and then they all disappeared. Oh, Nightbot, what is your major issue here? So I'm trying to get it to... Yeah, this is going to be a pain. We may have to give this the old just random... Oh, there it goes. There we go. Nightbot's now tracking comments. Okay. So the most recent comments that I got from Nightbot, there we go. We got a whole bunch of all right. Now finally Nightbot has woken up. There we go. Okay, Nightbot is alive. Call it Daybot. Nightbot's on strike, Deborah says. Yeah. Nightbot was sleeping, apparently. Is Nightbot a person? Nope, Nightbot is a bot. Nightbot for president, says Gordon. Yeah, so Nightbot is basically just an automated moderating tool, and what it's going to do, if you're on the YouTube channel, you got to throw in a comment, and it'll keep track of who has thrown in comments, and it's going to pick a winner. And hopefully the issue here I see is that Nightbot is usually comments here. So I guess we're going to try to give one away. And so the big thing is you got to go to youtube.com/OLHZN, and if you head over there, then and throw in a comment, you can be eligible, and we'll try to give something away here. And I think the first thing I'm going to try to give away is a sticker, just because I don't know if it's working. And so we'll try to give away a sticker here and see. It looks like it's working. It's tracking all the comments, but the thing that's got me worried is usually Nightbot does a lot of commenting on the video, but it's not. So, well, we'll see what happens here. We'll give away some stuff. So get your comments in, and we'll give it a shot. It is tracking it, and it says there's a whole bunch of people eligible to win. But we've got some stickers. We've got a mission patch and a beach ball to give away here. So we got a couple of... Where's my other sticker here? Not that one. So we're going to give away... We'll give away 4 items here today. We've got... get my beach ball up here. We got a Overlook Horizon mission patch sticker. We've got a Space Lobster mission patch sticker. We've got a NASA TESS official mission patch. This is an actual woven mission patch here, legit from the NASA TESS mission that I went and watched back in April. And then the beach ball, the Falcon Heavy, or not Falcon Heavy, the Delta IV Heavy beach ball from the Parker Solar Probe, that courtesy of United Launch Alliance. I know this is not a United Launch Alliance launch, but we got a lot of beach balls we got to give away, and they were super nice to send us these beach balls, so we're going to give those away. We got 3 minutes to do it. So let's do it. Let's spin the wheel. Hopefully you got your comments in on the YouTube channel, and hopefully this works. Oh, there's Nightbot. Nightbot already. Nightbot already yelled at somebody. So there it is. Nightbot's there. Okay, so here we go. Let's first thing, I think it's working. So why don't we go right to the big stuff? We'll give away the NASA TESS mission patch, the real official mission patch from the NASA TESS mission that launched on a Falcon 9 in April. It's a space telescope that is in active use right now. So let's give it a roll. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, roll it. There we go. Sean has won the mission patch. Did it? There we go. Sean has won the mission patch sticker. So Sean, you got to send me where you want me to send this to. So you got a direct message on Facebook, Twitter, or go to overlookhorizon.com and use the contact us. Let me know where you want this sent to. It's got to be sent to one of the locations that is official eligibility. So I guess we probably should have mentioned that before we did the giveaway. There is official eligibility. Who knew it was so hard to give away free stuff? But apparently there are laws about this. Congratulations, Sean. Hopefully you are in one of the eligibility locations to actually win the mission patch sticker. But send me a direct message. Let me know where you want it sent to. The eligibility areas are basically United States, Canada, the UK, the European Union, and then there's a couple exceptions to that, like Quebec, I think Italy. But there's a link in the YouTube description that tells you what the official rules are. But if you've won it, let us know, and we'll send that over to you. I wish I could just send it everywhere, but apparently there are laws that we can't do that. So we don't want to break the law. But there you go. There's that for Sean. Let's see, I'm just turning on the music here. I want to hear when they come back so I don't miss it. Okay, next thing up, the Overlook Horizon mission patch sticker there. Just like that. It's pretty much our logo in sticker form. Everybody likes a sticker, right? All right, we'll give it another roll here. Nightbot, ready? 1, 2, 3. Roll it. There it is, Gordon.
Orbit, and we're just moments away from secondary engine start to take the SHALE-2 satellite up to its final geostationary transfer orbit. That's coming up in about 40 seconds. So let's watch for SES-2.
So we gave away 2 things here. Now they're done with the coast. They're going to do the next burn here. Should start any second. So this is the next burn. Congratulations, Gordon. Sorry I kind of breezed over your win there. But Gordon's the winner of the sticker. We got 2 more things we'll give away here once the satellite here is deployed. But now we're getting up to second stage burn here. This is actually getting it to geostationary transfer orbit. It should be any second that will light up. There you go. Green T-tab. There's the burn start.
And we've had second engine start number 2 as that Merlin vacuum engine relights, which is not an easy feat to do out in space, to relight a vacuum engine like that. Now this burn will last for a little bit under a minute in total. So we're going to burn through about T plus 27 minutes and a half or so, at which point we'll reach SECO-2, or second engine cutoff number 2.
Yep, so this is, what did he say, a minute and a half? Is that, because that's not what the press kit says. The press kit says that this is a 1 minute burn, a little less than 1 minute actually. So the cutoff would be about 27:29. So it should be coming up here in like 10 seconds, roughly. So that was the planned cutoff right there. So we're going a couple more seconds here. We'll see when cutoff actually happens. Oh, looks like it cut off.
Second stage has concluded its second and final burn for that second stage as it delivers SHALE-2 to geostationary transfer orbit. Now what's going to happen here is we're going to coast for another 4 or 5 minutes or so, just like we coasted between first and second. We're going to coast between now and the actual deployment of the payload in its correct trajectory. So we're in a good orbit for now. Stage 2 and SHALE-2 are still mated. We're going to coast for about 4 minutes here, and then we'll deploy the satellite.
All right, so they got their music going here again. We'll quiet that down here, and I'll listen in for when they actually go to deployment. That'll be coming up here. It says 32.5 minutes is when the deployment is, so we got a couple of minutes, and then they'll do that. So let's give away some stuff, and I also see that it looks like the snowstorm has arrived here out my window, so we're going to try to do this before my power goes out. But anyways, let's give away the Space Lobster mission patch sticker here. The Space Lobster, that was our mission on our weather balloon Overlook Horizon 15 that happened back in August. So the Space Lobster went up to the edge of space on one of our weather balloons. We'll have some more weather balloons going up, probably not till springtime. We usually don't fly any in the winter time, but springtime we'll have some more weather balloons going up. But we'll get a mission patch sticker here for the next winner on the Overlook Horizon, or the Space Lobster mission patch sticker here, courtesy of Alex Ziggyful, who designed that mission patch sticker there for us. So, and here we go. We'll roll this and choose a winner for this guy. And there it is. The winner for the Space Lobster mission patch sticker is Deborah. Deborah, you get yourself a Space Lobster mission patch sticker. And finally, we're kind of flying through it, is the Delta IV Heavy beach ball here, courtesy of United Launch Alliance. They were super generous to send us a bunch of these beach balls to let us give them away here. So you got ULA there. There's a little picture of the Parker Solar Probe on this side that just completed its first pass by the sun the beginning of this month. Early in November was the first perihelion that was the close approach to the sun. So it is passed close to the sun. It's now coming off the opposite side, and it's an elliptical orbit. So the Parker Solar Probe swings real close to the sun, then it goes way out to Venus type area, then goes back close to the sun, and it keeps getting a little closer each time. So that will that's going to have another close approach. I forget what the time when the time frame is for that, but it's another couple of months before it'll hit another close approach here. So anyways, let's give away a beach ball. Who doesn't like a beach ball here, right? All right, 1, 2, 3. There you go, Space TV. Space TV gets the beach ball here. So the Parker Solar Probe Delta IV Heavy beach ball right there goes to Space TV. So thanks everybody for playing our contest and our little games there. And if you won one of those 4 items, like I mentioned, you got to send me a direct message on either facebook.com/overlookhorizon, our Twitter account, twitter.com/OLHCN, or you can go to overlookhorizon.com/contact, send us a message there. So you just got to send me a direct message, let me know where to send it to, and as long as it's in the eligibility area on where to send it to, then it's coming your way. So there you go. There's our 4 winners here. And
joining us, it's a great day for the second stage. We just finished SES-2 and are moments away from deploying the SHALE-2 satellite into its geostationary transfer orbit.
And the deployment of this payload is really the culmination of today's entire primary mission. We have different payloads that Falcon 9 as a launch vehicle flies, and we have different ways to adapt those to the payload. For SHALESat, we need a mechanical connection to hold SHALESat before we push it away. Now that joint is held together with small springs that when we release them, just gently push that payload away into its final orbit.
Now, after the second stage deploys SHALE-2 into its geostationary transfer orbit, that's it for the Falcon 9's mission. However, the satellite's onboard propulsion system will slowly raise its orbit into its final circular geostationary orbit.
So here we go at the very end, the payload deployment coming up about 20 seconds from now.
That was the planned deployment time. Should be any second here. There it goes.
Spacecraft separation confirmed.
See the little engine bell for the actual spacecraft.
There it is, a beautiful sight as SHALE-2 floats away again to provide communications from geostationary orbits. Today was a wonderful day. We'd like to extend a great thanks to our customer, SHALESat, for entrusting us with today's mission. And surprisingly, SpaceX's first mission ever to be attempted in the entire month of November for the entire history of the company.
Really exciting.
So great day for us, great day for us, Hailsat. We'd also like to extend our thanks to the manufacturer of today's satellite, the Mitsubishi Electric Company, as well as the 45th Space Wing for their range safety, and as always, the FAA for their licensing of today's launch.
Now, we also want to thank all of you, our viewers, for joining us. If you're excited by today's launch and want to join our mission to make life multiplanetary, please visit spacex.com/careers for a list of our current job postings. Please also follow us on our social media accounts for the latest on our upcoming missions and milestones. And with that, we're going to be signing off from Hawthorne and wish you all a wonderful rest of the day.
Acquisition of signal, Mauritius.
Well, there we go. There's the end of the SpaceX broadcast there. So that leaves it to just us here to hang out. Successful SpaceX launch and deployment for the satellite. So another awesome and successful mission for SpaceX, which is fantastic. It's great for SpaceX, but it's great for the spaceflight industry in general to have a successful flight, because then all of the space industry can continue on normally here. So I saw kind of an interesting question that came up on Periscope, and I don't know the Periscope username here. It's like Iowaki DT, Iowaki, something like that. But they asked, why is it slowing down? So if you watched the last bit of the broadcast there, the speed was decreasing from the satellite, even though it was not under power. Presumably, I believe that speed is relative Earth speed. And if that's the case, so when you're doing space flight, there's a lot of different speeds that you can actually measure. That should be, because they keep it pretty constant from launch until the broadcast ends. So that is relative Earth speed, at least I'm pretty sure it is. But that's relative Earth speed. And when you have a satellite that is in geostationary transfer orbit, or any elliptical orbit for that matter, when the, let's see, let me get my graphic up here and we can look at it together here. There we go. So when you're in an elliptical orbit, the speed of the spacecraft relative to Earth, as it gets to its apogee, which is the furthest point away from Earth, as it gets to apogee, the spacecraft is actually slowing down relative to Earth. And then Earth is then going to pull it back, which is what creates that orbit. It's going to pull it back towards the Earth, and it will speed up again and get to its fastest speed as it gets to perigee, the closest point to the Earth. So that's why the speed was slowing down, is because it is slowing down relative to Earth's speed. Even though it's not under power anymore, it is still slowing down because Earth's gravity is trying to pull it back to Earth, and it's going to slow it down until it finally is successful at pulling it back to Earth. But the horizontal speed is going to make sure that it misses Earth and doesn't actually land, and then it will loop around and come back out again. So there you go. You can file that under things that Kerbal Space Program taught me. Let's see. What else do we have for comments here? So that's how long until it is parked in geostationary orbit? I don't know the exact time frame, but usually that takes a couple of months. So though the propulsion system that's on the spacecraft, it can take a couple of weeks to a couple of months to actually get into its final geostationary orbit. So it's usually not a crazy powerful propulsion system, but it doesn't need to be. It can just kind of slow and steady circularize that orbit. And so over the next couple of weeks or even months, it will perform a number of different burns to actually circularize it. So that will happen for a while before that spacecraft actually goes operational and starts doing its communication duties over North Africa and the Middle East. Let's see, where is Skyman now? I'm assuming you're talking about Starman, the Falcon Heavy dude in the Tesla Roadster. He is out past Mars orbit. He is just actually past his furthest point away from the sun. And he is on his way back around the sun here, coming closer. So he's about halfway through his orbit, his first orbit, and he's coming back here now, or he's coming back towards the sun now at this point. We won't be there when he loops back around. But let's see what else. Great job, thanks for the cast. Yeah, thanks Mark, thanks for hanging out. Let's see, what else? That's a huge satellite. Yeah, it was like 3,000 kilograms, which is not crazy huge. That's about half the size of some of the largest satellites that SpaceX has launched. But it was about 3,000 kilograms, which is a good size for a satellite. It's definitely, it's no CubeSat, that's for sure. It's a good size satellite. Let me look at some more comments. I can't believe that tiny rocket motor would circularize the satellite orbit. Yeah, it is pretty crazy, but because, you know, the Falcon 9 has done so much of the work, you don't have to worry too much. There's not a lot more delta V that you need to circularize at that point. So the Falcon 9 has added so much velocity to the spacecraft, it doesn't really need that much more velocity to circularize. Let's see. You have to wait till spring to actually enjoy the ball, though. Yeah, if you're in an environment like I'm going to be in when this broadcast is over, as I look out my window and I see this ridiculous snowstorm. Today's not a day for me to play with the beach ball. Hopefully, you're in a better place that I forget who won the beach ball, but hopefully you're in a better place than I am to enjoy that beach ball. Let's see. IC 90,000 says this is a load of nonsense. I guess you'll block me again. Well, I don't generally block people, so I don't know what you mean by block me again. But I don't think it's nonsense. But you don't work for SpaceX? Nope, I do not work for SpaceX. Just a fan, just watching along with you guys. I love watching these rocket launches. Where is it going? It's going in a geostationary. The spacecraft is going to geostationary orbit. And that satellite will be positioned permanently over North Africa and the Middle East area, servicing them for some communication needs. So, is the solar system really in a helix orbit? Well, I mean, everything's, for the most part, just about everything's orbiting something. So our solar system is orbiting is going around with our galaxy around the massive black hole that's in the center of our galaxy. So our entire solar system is orbiting along with that, meaning like our star, basically our star is orbiting around with the galaxy. Our planets, which make up our solar system, are orbiting around our star. The moons orbit around the planets. It's all going around something. And then the galaxy, we get into forever, all kinds of stuff with where the galaxy is going. There you go. He works for the Russians. Yeah. Oh, it's maybe Elon Musk he's talking about works for the Russians. I don't work for the Russians. I don't speak enough Russian, or any Russian for that matter, to work for the Russians. Let's see. What else did we miss here? Let me go back over here. So somebody, John on YouTube said, will stage 2 rocket body remain in transfer orbit? So it reminded me something about it, but in answer to your question, stage 2 will remain in orbit. It's the orbit that it's in is a decaying orbit. I believe I don't know the specifics on this particular orbit. So usually on these geostationary transfer orbit missions, it's in a orbit that will intentionally decay over time. So it will stay in orbit for a few months, and then it would, sometimes they do a deorbit burn. If there's enough propellant left, they will actually do a final deorbit burn, and the second stage will actually burn up in the atmosphere. Sometimes if they don't have enough propellant left, then they'll just let it continue to orbit around for the next couple of months, and every time it passes through the atmosphere, it will slow it down just a little bit at a time, and each time it slows down a little more, and eventually it re-enters. But most of the time, they do try to get them to re-enter to eliminate some of the space junk. Sometimes they do an ejection burn. If they can't get it back, they'll eject it out into kind of no man's land. But most of them, I believe, they try to get them to burn up. So let's see. What else did I miss here? Kevin says it's snowing in Buffalo too. Yeah, it's snowing like crazy out my window right now. We're supposed to get about 12 inches of snow tonight. So there's only a little bit of a dusting on the ground here now. It started during the broadcast here. It started snowing. It snowed, what was it, yesterday? We got like 3 or 4 inches of snow, but we're supposed to get a whole bunch tonight. Oh, but I know what I was going to say. The stage 2. So a couple of exciting things that have come out that we also didn't talk about is Elon announced that the stage 2 of the Falcon 9. What are we talking about? Yeah, Falcon 9 stage 2. They're going to turn that into, and I don't know the specifics because Elon announced this on Twitter, so it's pretty limited. But he said as early as I think it was beginning of next year that they were going to convert at least one, maybe multiple stage 2 of the Falcon 9 into little mini BFS ships and test the re-entry procedures with the stage 2 acting like a mini BFS. So BFS is the big Falcon spaceship. That's the top of the BFR rocket, the big Falcon rocket, which will have 2 stages. There'll be the BFR, which is the big rocket on the bottom, that will push the BFS. The BFS is the spaceship where there will actually be people, and what's his name, Maizawa, will do the lap around the moon inside the BFS. So that's the BFS is the spaceship that sits on top of the BFR rocket. The BFR will launch it, turn around, come back, land, just like the Falcon 9 does. The BFS, though, also has to land, and that's what has those big actuating fins on it to help it land and stabilize as it enters the atmosphere, and basically plows through the atmosphere belly first, and uses those fins to try to stabilize itself. And so Elon said on Twitter that they're going to basically create a mini BFS out of the Falcon 9 upper stage and attempt those re-entries that way. That'll be kind of crazy to see. I would love to see that actually happen. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that sounds like crazy talk to me. I don't know, the whole BFR, it still seems like this concept that's not really happening. It's like a concept car. It's like you've seen it in drawings and you're like, yeah, that's really cool, but we'll probably never see it. But the BFR it feels like that to me, but it's not that because they're actually building it. But in my mind, it feels like the BFR is like that concept car that we'll never see. But they're actively working on it, and we're going to see hopefully that mini BFS actually perform some re-entry. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to land because the Falcon 9 second stage has a vacuum engine, so they're not going to perform like a propulsive landing with the Falcon 9 second stage. But maybe they're going to throw some parachutes on it, or they're going to just let it blast into the ocean, or maybe they're going to use Mr. Steven to try to catch it. I have no idea what they're going to do, but look for that beginning of next year. That would be kind of crazy. So let's see. Antonia wants to know how they're going to get all the space junk out of orbit. That's a great question. It's a big problem right now trying to get some of the space junk we have out of there. There's some solutions that they're attempting to try to clear up some of the space junk, but nobody's got a great solution at the moment. Oh, Mark says he's got smoke and ash outside. Oh man, Mark, I feel that's some terrible stuff going on in California with all those fires. That's horrendous. Hopefully you're well out of the path there, Mark, and anybody that's there, because I just feel for anybody that's got to deal with that out in California, those fires. I can't even imagine what they're going through. Let's see, what else did we miss? Gregorius mentioned SpaceX has some planned launches coming up. Oh yeah, so we do have another planned launch coming up in just 4 days. So we've gone with a long dry spell of no SpaceX launches, but we got another one coming up in just 4 days. That's the what is that? SSOA, which is happening on Monday. So that'll be Monday, another afternoon launch. I think it's like 1 o'clock Eastern time. So that would be 6 o'clock UTC. Or 1800 UTC, I should say, or what is that? It's like 10 o'clock Pacific time. Did I do that math right quickly in my head? So that's on Monday. I don't know the specific time. It's like 1 something. Let's see. I got it here. 1:32 Eastern time. So another afternoon launch. We will live stream that, assuming it doesn't get delayed or anything. But we'll be live again on Monday for another afternoon launch. That's pretty exciting. And there's also a couple more scheduled early December December 4th, December 15th. There's one even scheduled for December 30th. So we've got a couple of SpaceX launches here to close out the year. We'll see if they all go off on schedule. And then starting early 2019, we'll be hitting that commercial crew stuff. So that's still pretty exciting. We still got to demo an uncrewed commercial crew mission, right? That's confusing, but uncrewed to make sure it's safe for the crew. That's coming up in 2019. There's a Delta IV Heavy coming up end of November that's doing the National Reconnaissance Office launch, big top secret launch there. We've got the CRS mission, that's early December for SpaceX. The December 15th one, that's a GPS satellite's coming up for SpaceX. And then end of December, December 30th, that's the next and the final, I believe it's final, Iridium mission. That's Iridium 8 that will do the last 10 Iridium satellites as part of the Iridium Next constellation. That's scheduled for the end of December. So that's coming up as well. And then we'll go into 2019 with a whole bunch of launches. We still have not seen or heard anything new about the Falcon Heavy. There's still a couple of those on the books. They were originally scheduled for like August, and then it went to like October, November. Now it's 2019, so they've been pushed a couple of times. So hopefully we will get to see those at some point, because I loved that Falcon Heavy launch last year. It might be almost exactly a year from the last Falcon Heavy launch. Last Falcon Heavy was in February. And then the commercial crew stuff, I don't remember the exact dates. Does anybody remember the exact dates of commercial crew, like the test mission? I want to say it was in like February is when the commercial crew was next scheduled to happen. Let's see. Deborah says you can have the snow. We had half an inch here in the suburbs of Chicago, and we don't want any more. And half an inch sounds like nothing at this point. We're supposed to be getting 12 inches here today, so so that's going to be rough. Let's see. Oh yeah, there. Gordon's mentioning all the launches that were coming up. People online say an energy weapon caused the California fires. I don't know if I would believe that. I don't think energy weapons caused the California fires, but it's an interesting theory. We got some Periscope comments coming in here. What do you think of Elon Musk? I like Elon Musk. I think he's doing all kinds of innovative things. With whether it's Tesla, the Boring Company, SpaceX, I think he's got a great mind for innovation. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Elon Musk. Sometimes his Twitter account gets a little controversial. I don't personally mind it, but some of the marketplace might mind it. But I got nothing bad to say about Elon Musk. ESA has a CaptureNet prototype that worked. Did they really? Says the Ice Griffin. I don't know anything about this. I'll have to look at that. Let's see. A bunch of people telling me it's clear and sunny in Alaska. Yeah, I would take clear and sunny right now. Not only is it snowing, but it's almost pitch black dark, and it's only 4:30 in the afternoon. I don't like this daylight saving stuff. I'd much rather have the sunlight go much longer. There's nothing on Mars, only stone. Well, I mean, there's like rocks on Mars. I guess what you're mentioning about stone. There's rocks. You got the polar ice caps on Mars. Who knows what's out there? We're still gonna go explore that. We gotta be interplanetary, right? Perhaps the space lobster started the fire. Now Bill might be onto something. He says perhaps the space lobster started the fire. Now the space lobster is known for causing all kinds of mischief. So I would chalk that up to being a very plausible thought for the space lobsters could potentially be involved in the California fires. I can't rule that out. Deborah wants to know what's up with Blue Origin. Blue Origin is they keep things close to the vest. They don't announce a lot of stuff. So I don't know a lot of what's happening with Blue Origin. They don't really publicly, we talked about Elon and how much he puts out on Twitter. I mean, he can put out some controversial stuff, but one of the things that's really nice about Elon is he can announce things like the mini BFS stuff that are experimental, that we haven't seen yet, but he still put it out there and he announced it. So we kind of know what's happening behind the scenes with SpaceX. Blue Origin doesn't really do that. They stay pretty quiet. They don't really announce things until they're happening. So it's hard because we don't get to hear the behind the scenes for Blue Origin. We really don't know what's happening with Blue Origin until they're ready to actually do it. So let's see, a lot of talk about the California fires. I want to get off the California fire. I mean, I feel terrible for what's happening in the California fires, but I don't want to turn this into too much of a somber mood here. So, but I think I'm going to try to wrap this up here. How long we've been going here for? About an hour and a half. That's pretty much what we do typically. So, Deborah hates daylight savings too. She's going to go on vacation, so they get away from the daylight savings. So, well, we had a good broadcast today. I feel a little rusty. Hopefully, I didn't sound too rusty, but it's been such a long time since the last SpaceX broadcast that I haven't had a lot of practice here recently. And I don't know what. I'm sorry to the Facebook people, although you can't hear me because we're not streaming on Facebook. So I don't know what happened with the Facebook. I think Facebook was just being silly and just my stream didn't want to work. I don't know why. It's really quite annoying that it did not work, but I'll figure that out for next time. Yeah, well, I don't know. I was checking to see if maybe it somehow started working in the middle of the broadcast. It did not, of course. But we'll figure that out for next time. That's the tough thing about doing all these live streaming is you don't really see a lot of the problems until they're happening. And at that point, because I don't really have a production crew. The production crew here, you're looking at it. I'm running the broadcast. I'm doing the audio. I'm changing the cameras. That's it. This is a one-man show here. So I don't have anybody that can troubleshoot why the Facebook stream isn't working when we go live. And it's just me here. So apologies on Facebook for it not working, but that's a good reason why you should subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow us on Periscope, one of those things, because we do try to multicast on a bunch of different platforms so that we can spread the love and spread the education and the enjoyment of rocket launches out to everybody, as many people as we possibly can. And then also we do our launches, our weather balloon launches, because if you're not familiar with us, you might look at the channel and go, Overlook Horizon, high altitude balloons. Why are we talking about SpaceX? Well, we do our weather balloon launches. Those are in the spring and the summertime. We don't do them this time of year, so it's a quiet time here now for us. But we like to do a lot of the rocket launch stuff because it does directly relate to weather balloons. If you noticed in the broadcast, they mentioned how they were using weather balloons to launch and measure the upper level winds and keep an eye on the atmosphere to make sure that it was going to be safe to launch. So there's our direct connection, but a little more indirect is that our 501c3 nonprofit charity is mostly into science education and engineering education, and that's really our goal, is to get people interested in science and technology, and rocket launches are cool. Who doesn't like a rocket launch, right? That's why you're watching. So that's why we're trying to spread and inspire people into science and technology. So I guess I ought to throw out my plug that says if you want to make a donation to our 501c3 charity, you can go to overlookhorizon.com/donate, and you can make a tax-deductible donation. It's November 15th. If you're in the United States, we're getting to the end of the tax year. So if you're trying to maybe lower your taxable income a little bit, you could throw a donation our way to Overlook Horizon before we get to the end of the year. Just saying, right? All right, that's enough of my sales pitch. So yeah, follow. I'm going to wrap this up here. I don't have, where's my YouTube comments? Oh, Deborah. Hey, Deborah, thanks very much. Appreciate, Deborah gave us a Super Chat for Good. So that's YouTube's program to donate to nonprofits. So Deborah, thanks very much for the Super Chat. That is awesome. And I think Deborah was a winner too. Deborah won one of the things. I don't remember exactly which one. I'll have to make sure I get her the right item. But Deborah, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thanks very much for joining us. And thank you so much for the Super Chat. That is awesome. You rock, Deborah. All right, what other, get a beer, don't worry about it, says Alex Ziggyful. Gordon says he sent me his address on Twitter. Yeah, thanks, Gordon. And we'll get that stuff out as soon as I end the broadcast. We'll get it right out the door here to all the winners. What was the object flying past after stage 1? I've captured for an explanation. So I think, Alistair Stephen, we talked about this earlier. There was an object that flew past. It looked crazy at the time. I was like, what is that? It looked like a UFO that flew past the first stage. Pretty sure after looking at it, it was just a little piece of debris, probably a little chip of the thermal protection coating, broke off, and it just looked, the perception of it looked really funny. But it was just a piece of thermal protection coating that broke off and just happened to fly by the camera, as the air resistance on it affected it much more so than the actual first stage itself. But it was crazy looking. Looked like a UFO flying by. I was like, wow, what is that? We had to go look at that again. But yeah, definitely, I'm sure there's going to be people going nuts. You watch the Twitter machine, people are going to be going crazy because the Falcon 9 flew by a UFO. So that ought to be fun. FMC123, thanks for the stream. I subscribed and turned on notifications for your live streams. Thanks, FMC. Yeah, that's awesome. We'll definitely do some more. Monday will be the next one. Monday afternoon, we'll do some more. Sam says that was SpaceX's 18th successful launch this year. Right. So they tied last year's record with over a month left. That is correct, Sam. Yep, this was the 18th launch, and they did 18 launches last year. But yeah, today was the 18th launch, and they still got like 4 more planned for this year. So they're still on track to hit like 22 launches for this year and increase their, last year was the most they ever did in one year, and they're on track to do 20 something this year. 22 is on the schedule right now. So hopefully they can hit it. The last one is like December 30th. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed too far out. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's probably going to launch anyways, but from a numbers and statistics standpoint, it always looks better if SpaceX can bump up the numbers and say, hey, we did 22 launches in 2018. So it's awesome how I hate the word routine. I say it so much, and every time I say it, I talk about how much I hate it. But I don't know of another word to say, but it is becoming routine, but routine in a good way. But I still think we got to be interested, you got to stay interested in it. We can't let the space industry kind of fall by the side. And SpaceX does a great job of staying innovative and staying relevant, in my opinion. But it is great how rapidly they are launching rockets and how quickly they're turning it around and keeping it going. And I hope that it just increases and just keeps going. So let's see. Mark says 3rd launch in a row on this Falcon 9. This was the 2nd launch of this Falcon 9. So this one only launched once before on Telstar 19 Vantage in July. This was the 2nd launch and 2nd landing, but it will go on to do a third launch at some point, probably in 2019. Yuval says, I wish I had the money to contribute. Hey, no worries, Yuval. It's no problem. You got to make sure you take care of yourself first. So no hard feelings. You just join in on the stream. We'll still love to have you anyways. So no pressure there. Deborah's got to run. Thanks, Deborah. Have a good one. She says, Happy Thanksgiving. And let's see. I love how nerdy and down to earth you space guys are, says Culpability on Periscope. Well, thank you very much. I will take that as a compliment. I take the nerdy title as a compliment, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think Sean says, thanks, great stream. Thanks, Nightbot, for picking my name to win the patch. Oh, yeah, awesome. Make sure you send me that direct message so I know where to send it to. So. All right, folks, that's going to be it for me. I got to wrap this up, and end it here for the night. And don't forget to join us Monday. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to or follow the Periscope channel, whatever it's called, I guess. And we'll be back Monday afternoon for the next SpaceX broadcast. But I'm going to wrap this up here for now and call it a night and get ready for this big snowstorm that's coming. 12 inches. I have to make sure the snowblower works. I haven't used it yet this year. Make sure I can get out of my driveway. We'll see. Hopefully, we never know how the roads are going to be. I might be able to get out of my driveway, but if the roads are horrendous, that could be a different story. So there we go. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing and liking the video and all that kind of stuff. I love hanging out. I've missed you guys over the last couple weeks. I missed being here and doing these live broadcasts, but we'll be back for a quick turnaround Monday afternoon. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday. My name's Tori. This is Overlook Horizon, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday. See you guys. Bye.